Episode 71 of the Hoop Threads podcast here with some national scouts to kind of talk about their region as we gear up for the high school season here. Talk about some exciting teams, some coaches, some players that really stand out to them. So, obviously my name is Aaron Proia, the host of this podcast, located in the DMV, assistant coach at Archbishop Spalding in the Baltimore Catholic League. Let's go with Joe. Next.
Hi, my name is Joe. I played for Prep Hoops, New Jersey for a couple of years, and I do coach actually JV middle school basketball. They're not very good, but it's fun.
Basketball in its purest form, man. Let's go with
taught kids how to defensively slide.
Let's go with CG next.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Chad Graham, right for a few different companies, Prep Hoops, City of Basketball Love, and Cerebro Sports.
Sir, it's from Philly. Niche?
Hi, Aaron. Thanks for having me on. I'm Aneesh. I work with Cerebro Sports and Pro Insight, and I'm based in the Texas area.
Fantastic. Alex?
Yeah, Alex Brown. I'm also based in Chicago and work with Pro Insight right now.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for all coming on the Grassroots Hotbed Roundtable podcast today. That was a mouthful. So I'm just going to give the question, and then we'll kind of go through in order and talk about the players and the teams that, like I said, have caught our eye. So the first question, freshman and sophomore class in our area, a couple of prospects that you're excited about. First one for me is Derek Dixon, 2025 combo guard from Gonzaga College High School in DC. He can handle the rock. He can really, really shoot it. He can distribute a little bit. He's working on that. And then he also can he's working on the defensive end of the floor. That's the biggest area for growth for him. Next one is Akbar Wahid, the third out of Georgetown Prep. I think he's just really primed for a big year. 6'6", kind of guard forward. Can do a little bit of everything. Can distribute, can shoot the ball, plays some solid defense, good length, decent athlete. Rebounds pretty well for his position as well. A lot of opportunity opening up there with a national name in Kenai Roots, headed down to IMG Academy to play this year. So a much different situation for him to be in. I think he's really going to thrive and show people what he could do at the national level. He has a lot of people reaching out, a lot of colleges reaching out to him right now. And then I got two more. So Cameron Carter, this is the only biased one that I'll have, actually two, but from Archbishop Spalding, 2026 point guard. Sorry, Akbar, he, by the way, is a 2025. Cam Carter, 2026 point guard from Team Thrill. Really excited about his creation just off the bounce. Really, really good passer. Doesn't turn the ball over, can shoot it. He can really fluctuate between passing and shooting. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what his minutes look like this year, as we have two junior guards that play his position. And then we also have a couple coming up from JV next year. So I think this year will be kind of an acclimation year, getting ready for everything. And then, the next 2 years, I think will really take off. But I think we'll have some moments as a freshman that kind of put him on the national radar. And then the last name that I have is Kareem Stagg, 6'7", power forward for Oscar Smith, also plays for Boo Williams. Really good athlete, pretty good finisher in the paint, good footwork, decently strong frame. You can see that he has all of the makings of a future star. So he's class of 2025. So that's it from my group. We'll move on to Joe next.
Have to probably start talk about 25, 26 Jersey. Probably start with Darius Adams, 6'3", 6'4", combo guard out of Manasquan High School. Super smooth jumper, knows how to get to a spot on the floor, plays with confidence, really crafty bag around the basket. I think his passing needs to improve a little bit. He has the length defensively. I think sometimes he's not always engaged defensively where he can struggle, but he can really score the basketball. Plays with PSA Cardinals alongside with Amari Moore from Hudson Catholic, 6'2", 6'3". Moore plays off the ball, obviously with Todd Pettiford being there with the Hawks, but has a good handle, get to the hoop and shoot. Will have to be more of an expanded role in terms of running the offense with Todd Pettiford's knee injury. So more will be some out for. And then in the 26 class, Ikana or Ike Alozi from the past, 2 super strong guard, contact, can defend both backcourts probably a bit on the perimeter as a three, I think. Super high ceiling, and just very fun player. Can't wait to see what he does in his first.
He's the franchise for sure. You have anyone else for that section, Joe? Okay.
What'd you say, Aaron?
I just asked if you had anyone else for that section. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Oh no. Probably another one that'd be more intriguing would be the duo that Bergen Catholic have, kind of AJ Williams and Chitty Ngui. Both kind of 5'6", 6'6", lanky wings, can get to the basket, shoot a little bit. They'll be fun to watch this year. Outside of that, they're both 2026s. So it should be those are the only other guys I think.
Awesome. Aneesh?
Yeah, so thankfully the 2025 class especially is super deep in Texas. I know we're just talking about high school, but if you just look at it from an AU perspective, Drive Nation has 5 starters that are really good. John Lucas III has 5 starters that are really good. Pro Skill Southern Assault has multiple starters and really good depth. They're going to be really good. So there's a ton of names to choose from, but I wanted to highlight just a couple here. The first one is Kingston Flemings. He's a point guard out of Brennan in San Antonio. He's a 6'1" point guard that looks like he's still growing a little bit. His dad's 6'4", so hopefully he can get close to that range. Has an excellent blend of athleticism and IQ on both ends of the floor. He's a super disruptive point of attack defender. And then offensively, he combines really good pace and decision-making in the half court with a really, really good first step. Has taken some high-level kids off the bounce and gotten by them. And he played with an independent team in AAU and wasn't really known too much. Started to catch on a little bit this summer, had 38 against Duncanville in a non-conference game, I want to say a week ago. And so that Brennan team is really good. They'll be playing a lot of good teams, and that should help the stock rise a bunch. Another kid that I want to talk about was Hudson Greer out of Lake Travis High School. He's an athletic 3-4 wing forward that works well both on and off the ball, can light it up from outside and really slash, and is growing as a creator as well. And then as a defender, can play on the ball and do more than fine, but I think he's really impactful playing in passing lanes and as a weak side rim protector. He's was able to generate a lot of events from off ball in the times I've seen him. And then the last one I wanted to talk about, he's a little bit more of a well-known name. Greer is too, but the last name I want to talk about specifically was Jaden Toombs. He goes to Dynamic Prep. He is a 6'9", 6'10" big man that over the course of the summer AAU season lost about 25, 30 pounds. And so is really has lost a ton of weight and has become a lot more mobile because of it. And it's really helped him defensively. Already had really good timing before as a rim protector as well, and could even play a little bit higher in ball screen coverages. But that lost weight has really helped his mobility on that front. And with the time he already had, makes him a genuinely impactful defender for his grade. And then offensively can do a little bit of everything. His main thing is his touch around the basket. Isn't the most powerful or explosive vertical athlete, but has, like I said, has really good touch, can finish around the basket, has a good bevy of fakes if he's in the post, and then has some real flashes as a short roll guy and a shooter as well.
All right. So next up, unfortunately, our guy Miles Masercola with Hoop State in North Carolina had some health issues right now. His voice is gone, but he did want to contribute, so he slid me some names. So for this question, he has 2025 Jackson Keith from Southern Durham, 2025, Zamika Wilkins. I probably butchered that. I apologize. From Rutherford Spindale, and then Kobe Edwards from the Greenfield School. So next we'll go to CG.
All right. Yeah, so again, I cover the Philly area. This is one or two marquee names out of the 2026 class, but two I really want to shout out. Patrice Feemster over at Springside Chestnut Hill. Again, just a freshman, but already an elite shooter on the move. Yeah, he might come off the bench, but again, he's going to really raise the ceiling for what Springside Chestnut Hill can do. Another 2026 New Heights Lightning kid, Jaden Forsyth at Westtown. I'm hearing he might reclass up to 2025, but maybe 6'4" combo guard can just really get it off the bounce for his size. And then 2025 kid KJ Cochran plays for Kalo in the summer, but Westchester East kid, who knows where he might end up, but after this year, but elite feel for a 6'3", 6'4" combo guard. Will eventually slide into the point full time and take off from there. Like I said, you probably won't hear much about him this school year, just because of the area he plays in outside in the county. But he should absolutely blow up when he's playing 17U for Kalo come summertime.
Cool. I'm going to interject real quick, just to add a name. He's not technically from your area, but Jacob Meacham. Really love his game. 2025 point guard, the Hill School. Not the tallest guy, 5'7", 5'8", I think. But man, he handles the point. He runs the offense, makes the right read. Really good change of direction, change of speed, and is a really good distributor too. So just wanted to mention him as well. So we're going to move on to Alex.
Yeah, so the Chicago area has a lot of really interesting talent in the 25 class. The 26 group is still emerging, so only a couple names for that. But in the 25 group, I want to highlight Jeremiah Fears, the younger brother of Jeremy Fears. Somehow lesser known nationally, but is easily a high major already. One of the more promising guards in class 25 I've got to evaluate nationally thus far, just due to the natural talent, competitiveness, and mature approach. Additionally, he has excellent touch, which is kind of a very different than his brother, who's still working on developing that shot. He has a ton of natural touch, so even when his mechanics are wrong, he can still make shots just because he's just a really talented shooter. And he also has one of the better handles in the class and picks up defensively and just loves the game in general. Apart from all that, I've been really impressed with who he is as a kid as well. I've got a chance to talk with him a bunch and get to know him, and just really impressed with his poise and maturity, and just the fact that he's so humble as well. It's really stood out to me. So he has a good argument to end up as the number one player in Illinois for that 2025 group. And I think he's on the right track. And on the other hand, I also have a couple of forwards, one of which is Alex Alston with Kenwood. He's a 6'8" forward with fluid athleticism and shooting and passing chops. He's kind of more that perimeter-oriented forward that likes to move the ball and shoot it. Kind of think of a Coleman Hawkins style of game, with kind of the same hindrances as well. And for a 2007 born prospect, he just needs to keep getting more confident and grow into his size a little bit on the court. But he has the base and the mentality of a high major kid. And again, he's also been an impressive kid to get to know in general. And then Whitney Young has 6'7", 6'6", kind of forward wing, named Antonio Munoz. He's a freak athlete, has pretty solid length, excellent finishing, slash to the rim really well, and brings defensive event generation. He really plays hard as well and is working on developing the jumper to make the full wing transition. But right now he just dominates due to being an outlier athlete that can really play in space. On the 26 side, The two names that have emerged to me so far are both guards, one of which is Andre Tyler with St. Rita. He looked really promising at Pangos recently. Good upside in his frame and has some multi-level shot making chops. Plays hard, competes, has a chance to be the guy at St. Rita once they kind of lose their trio. And then Raikam Wu at Whitney Young is kind of a sleeper bet to be an Ivy League lead guard. Just really, really smart, but doesn't really have the physical tools yet. Maybe 5'11" and a buck 40, but the skill set, motor, and polish all look really promising for potential like Ivy League lead guard or maybe a D2 eventually. But those are a couple guys that have stood out to me so far. I think there's a lot of kids with upside, but it's been a little slower than some areas of developing.
Perfect. Appreciate that. So we'll move on to the next one. So give some underrated seniors that will see their stock rise the most this season. For my three, I don't know how high like these kids will go. I don't really see any of these three being high major kids. I think it's kind of low to mid major at best. Jake Stout, first for boys Latin in the Baltimore Catholic League, 6'5", I think a shade under 6'6". Shooting guard, can handle a little bit, can create a little bit, but the catch and shoot is where he lives. I believe he shot 39% from three on a good amount of volume. I think his coach told me that he shot like 6 threes a game or made 6 threes a game, something like that. So he gets up a lot of shots, but it's all very efficient. Does a lot of his damage off of pin downs and catch and shoot. But I really like his game. I think he can be high academic, like an Ivy League or Patriot League type kid. Next is Ralph Martino, super athletic, 6'6" wing, just transferred to Shabak Christian to play for Taj from New World up there. Just freaking nature athlete, pretty good ball handler, gets up and down in transition really quickly. Just the length and the athleticism kind of just jump out at you. The shooting is a bit streaky, but I think, when you have, that height with that length and that athleticism, you can kind of figure it out from there as a college coach. And then the last one is one of my favorite names in the DMV, DJ Holloway, starting point guard for Hayfield High School, who pretty sure they finished the last season undefeated, 31-0, won their region, won their state championship. He can really play. I think he's underrated a bit because he's about 5'10", I think, maybe 5'11" tops. Has a lot of like really good burst, kind of can get to wherever he wants to on the court. Pretty good scorer, distributes well, just an absolute pit bull defensively. I think he would be a great get for some low major programs. I think he's also kind of a high academic type kid as well. So let's move on next here to Joe. Joe, what you got for this one?
Gonna go maybe like a bit of a layup, with Jackson from St. Peter's Prep. The Marauders need somebody to replace Mark Armstrong scoring. I think they're all-time leading scorer at Villanova now. Tyndall's 6'6", 6'7". If he has that afro, maybe you could say he's 6'8". Really physical, can play inside and out, can shoot it. He can defend multiple positions on the floor. So I think he has definitely a lower D1 kid. I don't know if he has the burst. Be a high major kid, but I think with his ability to kind of stretch the floor, and I think he could play at a low major level. Mario Castro from Gill coming in to span. Can shoot the cover off the ball, has a good handle. Further nights. And the last one, best at getting to the ring, fish as well. Good athlete. His dad was an All-American at Maryland, so he has that pedigree fill in his frame. He just picked up an Army offer, so that could be where he goes. Potentially could prep. Don't really know what he's going to do, but definitely has the potential to have a breakout senior season. So it'll be one to watch.
Can you give me that name one last time, Joe?
Josh Eli from Paul VI.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Appreciate you. Move on to Aneesh next.
Yeah, so the first name that comes to mind is Jaden Toppin. He plays for Faith Family Academy in Dallas, Texas. He's a 6'8", 6'9" forward who plays with a super high motor and has the ability to kind of control the paint on both ends of the floor. He's a vertical threat in terms of pick and roll, has great touch around the hoop, both getting putbacks as well as if you dump offs. You could do a simple post up for him, and he doesn't have a super big bag in terms of post up moves, but just a one move deal. He can get a little jump hook or finish with something, and he has the touch where it'll go in. And then as a high level rebounder on both ends of the floor, and then can, in terms of ball screen coverage, defensively is best playing a little bit higher, but is definitely versatile, and then can also be a weak side rim protector if you have more of a bigger five. The second name I have is Caden Gums with and Toppin signed with New Mexico. I want to say late in the summer. And then the second name I have is Caden Gums with San Marcos. He signed with Texas State. He's a 6'1", 6'2" guard who can play either spot, but is probably, in my opinion, best with the ball in his hands. Super quick step and has touch around the rim, and can really does a good job absorbing contact when staying balanced as a finisher. Super good decision maker. And why I said he can play both guard positions is the ball doesn't stick with him. He's not someone who will take 5 to 7, or will pound the ball into the ground. Everything's super quick. Will keep the ball and offensive flow going. And defensively is super competitive and has pretty quick hands and feet, and so can be super competitive going over ball screens and everything like that. The last name I wanted to say is Tejon Brown, plays for Dallas Kimball, and then is currently unsigned. He's probably 5'8", 5'9", but despite that size, he's a super disruptive point of attack defender. It helped. Not only is he a very, very good competitor, but he's also extremely athletic, has all the tools, you name it, he has in that, and uses that to really pound guys. And if you're taking a night off, or if you're not fully engaged, he's going to rip you. And then offensively, he has a great first step that he uses to get to his spots and score, whether that be little touch outs on the rim. He has a pretty good mid-range, still working. Three-point shot is still becoming a little bit, it's a little ways away from being consistent, but can definitely make one. And then if he's not scoring, he definitely has the vision to find teammates when the defense helps over. And I think the bottom line with him is he's just a winner. The teams that he's on consistently wins games that they and he himself will put teams in games that they have no business winning, and will make them competitive. And so he's just someone that, despite the size, I think programs, especially on the D1 level, should take a look at.
Awesome. Thanks, Aneesh. So we'll move on to Miles. 3 guys for this section. So the first one's Avion Pinner from Concord Academy, Truman Clater from Word of God, and Jaquan Moore from One of One Prep. We'll move on to CG next.
Yeah, so my first guy probably already knows where I'm going with this. Adam Bud Clark out of West Catholic.
You know the vibes. You know the vibe.
AKA Baby Jesus. The kid is
Phenomenal,
legitimately legit 5'10", point guard, and he's the kind of guy you can go to war with. Finishes in the paint, around the basket, rarely gets his shot blocked. Is really expanding his game and his package in the mid range with pull-up jumpers and floaters, and increasing the 3-point rate slowly but surely. He will take them. Now it's about making them more consistently, and tough as nails on the defensive end. He's gone toe to toe with some of the best guards from Maryland to Jersey over the past couple months now, and has been I think he's won his matchups, to be fair. At the very least, won his matchups. Hearing from some low majors, I think this season is going to be really big for him. Maybe some mid majors will start sniffing around, but again, it doesn't matter who you put him on. He's gonna ball. Second kid, deep sleeper, Ernest Shelton out of Father Judge in Philly. really skinny kid, might need a prep year, but shoots the cover off the ball. Uh, Comes off of movement, can relocate, and yeah, he shoots it with confidence from NBA range at about 6'3", 6'4". And then Christian Kirkland at a Friend Select. It's a higher academic school. I forgot to mention, Bud Clark is a 4.0 kid as well. But yes, Christian Kirkland at a Friend Select, super high academic school in Philly. Um, he's 6'7", kind of Swiss Army knife, kind of forward. For his team, he's kind of like a point forward where they're running offense through him. He's running pick and roll at different times, shoots, rebounds. Got nicked up midway through the AAU season with We Are One, so teams didn't get to see him during the July live period, but hopefully he ends up somewhere in the mid-major range. Kid can really go.
Awesome. So next we'll go to Alex.
Yeah, so I'm going to focus on two unsigned seniors. The first of which is Donovan Younger. He's a 6'8" big for Bolingbrook. And he's kind of fallen off the radar over the last year and a half due to injuries. Just hasn't been able to consistently play. But we had him out at our combine in September and was really healthy and arguably the best big there. Has a great feel for his role and a highly active motor. Really dominated just with controlling his area around the basket with his mobility and motor, and then excelled as a play finisher and rim runner. Has great touch around the basket, active in understanding rotations, and was like a really well-spoken kid as well. The recruitment is wide open for him, but definitely a kid that could play D1 basketball, and low majors should be on him. Should be a no-brainer at this point. On the other hand, I have David Douglas Jr. with Yorkville Christian. He's a kind of a combo guard with really good size at like 6'4", lifts himself at 6'5", but he's probably 6'3 and a half, 6'4", and has excellent shooting chops. Really asked to carry the entire load for Yorkville Christian because they don't really have anybody else, and so he has the ultimate green light to pull from anywhere. But he was kind of more of a glue guy with breakaway on the UAA circuit, but could be a guy that plays himself into a D2 low major, just due to the shooting prowess and versatility in his approach.
Appreciate that. All right, so we'll move on to the next one. Give us, 2 to 3 juniors who are about to blow up this season. So I'll start for that one as well. So Caden Diggs from Bullis also plays for New World in AAU. Really, really athletic kid, 6'5", good length. Has a good mid-range jump shot that he gets to with regularity, finishes well in the paint. I think defensively he has the makings of a really good defender, wing defender, kind of switchy 2 to 4 at the college level. The effort, I'm not gonna lie, is inconsistent on that end sometimes. So we'll see what that looks like now that he's transferred from a smaller private school in DC to Bullis, where they have some guys around him to kind of take some of the pressure off. We'll move next to my last homer pick, Holden Williamson, 2024 guard at Archbishop Spalding, about 6'3", 6. I'll give him 6'4". He's got a lot more athletic this summer, really been putting in a ton of time in the weight room to kind of build his body to prepare for varsity. Was on JV last year. The calling card is the shooting, but he can kind of create off the bounce as well, gets to the basket and finishes pretty well. Had a couple really impressive dunks in the off season and over the summer. He's been working really hard. We'll see, how the last couple preseason games and kind of the end of camp kind of look for him, but I project him to be a starter, and if not, get some serious minutes for us, knocking down shots, being a big part of our offense now that we lost Cam Whitmore and 2 other Division I players in addition to all 5 starters leaving. So there's a lot of opportunity for him there. Daquan Davis, very glad that he's out of the BCL. He's a nightmare defensively. about 6'1", 6'2", point guard, transferred to St. John's in the WCAC. Just a nightmare defensively on the ball. Point of attack defender, really cuts off, driving angles, pokes the ball out, bothers you while you're shooting, gets underneath you, rebounds pretty well and gets going the other direction. Mid-range pull-up is really good. Can hit the three off the catch now with some solid consistency. I think his stock's going to rise as him and Malik Mack kind of play off of each other at St. John's. The last one is a guy that popped onto my radar recently. Hit a game winner this past weekend at the Prep Showcase. Dom Stewart just transferred into Mount Zion Academy. About 6'4", 6'5", really athletic wing, can handle the ball pretty well, moves really, really well for his size, and can shoot it a little bit too. Really excited to check him out this season. So next we will move to Joe on this one.
Got to start with Matt Hodge from St. Rose, 6'7", 6'8", Belgian import to the U.S. Kind of like the typical European big, very skilled. He's got a good touch on his jumper, can put the ball on the floor. A little different with him is he's actually doesn't mind mixing it up in the paint. Really good shot blocker, swats a ton of shots. So I think he should have a very, very big debut season in the States. His dad also played professionally in Europe. It was about 6'9", 250. So I think he has a little more room to grow in his frame. Brandon Benjamin is my next person. 6'7", forward for Bergen Catholic. Just works hard. Has a good touch around the basket. Can guard multiple positions on the floor. Doesn't mind diving on the floor for loose balls. So he had a really good summer. Worked well with Team Rio in the UAA. So it'll be one to watch. And then my last one is Anthony Akonde. He had a big summer with Jersey Force. Picked up an Iona offer for how his play at Philly Live. 6'3", 6'4", lanky guard, tough as nails. Can finish around the basket. Doesn't mind contact. Can hit jumpers in the mid-range, plays with confidence. It's just someone that I think plays for Arts High School. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but definitely someone I think that could have a very big summer, very big 2022-2023 season for Arts.
Awesome. Aneesh?
Yeah, the first name I have is Divine Ugachukwu. He plays for Fort Bend Clements. I think the pitch for him is he's just the definition of versatility. Really good point of attack defender, has really good frame and athletic tools where he can slide over, get over ball screens really easily, can switch even though he's a 6'2", 6'3" guard, but really competes on if he is matched onto a bigger player. And then has good off-ball instincts, is fairly disciplined as well. Would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive in terms of trying to create events defensively, but obviously that's kind of nitpicking there. And then offensively can be a secondary ball handler, can be a primary ball handler. If he's a primary ball handler, can get into the teeth of the defense and make plays from there, as well as score if necessary. And then if playing off ball, he can really attack a closeout. The shot is close to there. It probably needs another summer until it gets really consistent, but if you leave him open, he will knock a couple of them down to keep defenses honest. And then I think the big sell of how he translates is he's a really good connector. You'd want him to be a little bit bigger, but despite that, he still will be very effective over his last couple of years of high school and then wherever he goes to college. And I think something I've noticed is he played with Houston Hoops and he played up with them. I want to say the first session and Peach Jam, and whether he was playing with them or playing down with their 16s in the other three sessions, he's always played well, always looked like he belonged, never looked rattled. The second name I have is Chance Purrier with Dallas Carter. He's a really fluid athlete with pop and with some real vertical pop, and has consistently gotten better over the probably what has been about 2 years that I've been in Texas. He's a super range defender with versatility both on and off the ball. Offensively, the main style is like as a slasher and cutter, but the shot is there. It's a little bit low volume, but you can see the touch out to 3. Just needs to get some reps under it. The third name I have is David Punch with. Oh shoot, I forgot the high school. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. With Harker Heights in Killeen, Texas. He's a super young 4 that's athletic and versatile defensively. Offensively, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just that, like I said, he's super young and he's given a lot of time and reps to experiment, and he's flashed a little bit of everything, but it doesn't look like anything is consistent yet in terms of being able to play as a vertical threat. Short roll, has a little bit of spacing, can do some elbow stuff. I've seen him do a little bit of everything, just doesn't look consistent yet. And then I know it's 2 to 3 names, but the fourth person I have is Isaiah Kalala. He plays for WT White, another really, really young kid. I think he turns 16 sometime this in the next. He still hasn't turned 16 yet, and he's a 2024, which is obviously very, very rare in this day, but very high level athlete, can be a vertical threat, works really well as a cutter, has some elbow flashes, and then once again, a super versatile defender at TABC this summer. He outplayed some high major kids that he played against. And so I need to see a little bit more just because I haven't actually seen him that much. Was a kid that played JV last year. But if the flashes that I've saw in the limited in the limited games I've seen carry over, he's a high major kid.
Awesome. So for Miles, just read off his 3 names, and to our North Carolina listeners, I apologize. I've just never seen these kids play, so I can't really speak on them. So Zion Gardner from Word of God Academy, Jion Walker from Millbrook, and Clash Peters from Trinity Academy. I'm gonna kick it over to CG next.
Yes, starting with a Jersey kid named Jaden Glover. He's at the Patrick School and also plays with New York Wrens. Just a toolsy, athletic wing, about 6'6". Does everything off ball, and he could end up being the best long-term prospect on that Wrens squad, which has some hitters on it, quite honestly. From there, I want to talk about Basil Laster at Academy of the New Church. Was a super young 2023, decided to reclass this summer into 24. I think he just turned 17, maybe a month or so ago. Yeah, again, 6'6", actual point guard, really flexible and agile. Can pass it with either hand and still figure out that the best decision is having the ball in his hand. Just building his confidence and aggression on the ball. But he can really go. And deep sleeper, kid out of Delaware, Louisiana High School, 6'4", 2-guard, Kareem Thomas. Really late bloomer for the 2024 class. Wasn't even starting, a year ago going into his sophomore season. Was more of off-ball movement shooter, and has put in a lot of work this summer into developing his on-ball game. He's got really great flexibility in his ankles and shin angles, and could easily be a mid-major kid. He just got his first offer from Rider maybe a week or so ago.
Awesome. Alex, finish this one off for us.
Yeah, so the junior class is actually pretty loaded in Chicago. The first one I want to talk about is Calvin Robbins Jr. With Kenwood and the Mac Irvin Fire. Right now, he's kind of has a consensus mid-major outlook from colleges, but I think this year is the year he makes the high major prospect leap. And at nearly 6'6", he's a versatile role player that is already an NBA caliber athlete, and I'm not exaggerating there. When we ran his BAM measurements, and he had just turned 16. He tested higher than some of the guys did at the NBA Combine in a lot of categories. Just genuinely a freak athlete. And on top of that, he has a really mature approach. He approaches the game like a versatile role player that wants to impact winning without the ball. And that's a really rare find. The shot has been the swing skill overall, but having that baseline of, NBA athleticism, multi-positional defense, and that approach just screams winner at the next level. And I don't think he's going to be a mid-major name for long. I think some high majors are going to get involved, and that's probably where he'll end up. But really, really impressive as a July 2006 in the 2024 group as well, which is also really young. But really impressed with him on and off the court. Moving on to Peyton Kamen with DePaul Prep. He's a wing that looked like an easy high major bet a little over a year ago. He was a 6'6" sniper that just had some ball skills and great feel, but was almost out all year just with injuries here and there, and then like getting little ticky-tack things that just kept him out, and he just didn't really get to develop a whole lot this year. He's apparently grown an inch or two since then, lists himself at 6'8" now, so if he got an inch, 6'7", I'd give him that. He's starting to fill out his frame a little bit, but if he can stay healthy this season and continue on that development track, I'm a big fan of him for high majors because he's one of the best shooters in the state, and also has the ball skills to attack or close out and make a pass. So really, really impressed with him, and hoping he can stay healthy this year. And lastly, I wanted to highlight Cole Serta from Bloomington Central Catholic. He has his first time major on him in Northwestern, and he just picked up that offer, and they want him badly. But mostly it's local schools that want him. I think this is the year that a little more high majors are going to get involved nationally. He's an elite shooter at 6'4", 6'5", can make movement threes, score in bunches, and brings a team first approach. Kind of like Kamen, he can also put the ball on the floor and make a pass. And yeah, I think he's a guy that is going to get some more national recognition on the UA circuit this year.
Fantastic. So we're going to move next to our favorite kind of local small college prospects. So started off for me, my guy Nicky V, Nick Vaquera at Bullis. Just rebounds the ball at an insanely high level for, a 6'2", 6'3" kid. Shoots it pretty well, puts the ball on the floor, gets to every loose ball, plays well defensively, just like the consummate glue guy. And I think if he was to play at the Division III level or at the some good Division IIs, I think he could really show what he can do. Chase Lawton is he's in the 6-foot range. He's a point guard at Bishop McNamara in the WCAC. Gets downhill, can really shoot it, get to the basket, and decent finisher when it's not, it's a 6'8", 6'9" kid at the rim with him. Really, really strong. I think he does a lot of stuff defensively for them that kind of flies under the radar, to be honest. And then the last one's Mitchell Kalu from conference opponent Mount Carmel. Just really athletic, energy glue guy, about 6'5", plays for Team Mello, just super bouncy, rebounds the ball at a high level, runs the floor, sets hard screens, can kind of switch on to some, shooting guards, some wings. I don't think he is a great point guard defender, but he shouldn't be at someone at his size and with his athletic ability. More of he can guard 2 through 4, 2 through 5 at the high school level pretty comfortably. So definitely think he's a name to keep an eye on there. We will kick it to Joe next. What you got, Joe?
Yeah, I got I'm gonna probably pronounce his last name wrong, so I apologize to the listens. But Harmi Har Chabra from South Brunswick, 6'5" power forward. Just what a glue guy does, just does everything. Great rebounder, good finisher around the basket, can knock down free throws, sets good screens, dives on the floor for loose balls. He's like a 4.0 GPA as well. Just does everything you want in a glue guy and whatever you want to win games. So definitely one that I think will play, at D3 level, high academic. David Gasons from Morristown, I think he lists himself as 6'4", he's probably like 6'3", really shoot the cover off the ball, knows how to move off the ball. Can put the ball on the floor a little bit, probably has to work a little bit on his handle, but just moves really well off the ball and really can shoot. And another one, Erica Oliver Bush from Trenton Catholic, right now he's a Trenton Catholic. Well, what's going on now? He may not. But 6'3", 6'4", he's actually had to play the 5 for the they won their section championship last year. Working on his jumper, but can hit shots in the mid range, explodes off the floor for dunks. Just all around very good player. Who probably be D3, but I wouldn't be surprised if he.
Cool. I'm going to read Miles' answers for this question. We got Jake Hart from, oh God, I'm going to butcher this up. Fouquet Varina, Gabe Serta from Millbrook, and Cole Calloway from Lake Norman. I'm going to kick it to CG for the next one.
Yeah, real quick, I want to second Joe on the Eric Oliver Bush from Trenton Catholic. Sucks what happened to those kids. Their coach got fired, about a week or so ago out of nowhere. And yeah, kid is gonna end up, being all dunks, threes, and blocks at 6'4". Just a bulldog of a kid. I've got 2 guys. Brady Egan out of Bonner Prendy, 6'4" wing, does everything for you but shoot threes. If he did knock down threes off the catch, he'd easily be a D2 kid. Doesn't play AAU. Just plays for his high school team and grinds in the summertime. Real blue collar kind of kid. And then Quadir Bennett out of Plymouth Whitemarsh looks more like a tight end or left tackle necessarily than football player, but is a bucket on the wing. He's got a chopper, quite honestly, from deep, and scores at all 3 levels. Really skilled player offensively and defensively.
Fantastic. Alex?
Yeah, so I have a couple unsigned guys. First one I want to talk about is Solomon Mosley with Kenwood. He's a 6'6", 240-pound center that has more football offers than basketball offers, and he doesn't play football. He is arguably the best screener in Chicago. He fills this unique niche that allows him to constantly see the floor without scoring much. He even posts these like Steven Adams style pancake screens as highlights. That tells you the kind of player he is. He's a really good finisher above the rim, despite that size, and he can run the floor, but doesn't really have much going for him outside of that offensively. He drives winning with his intangibles, commitment to little things, being a great rebounder, and just moving the ball. Not doing any me first stuff. It's all team first. And this year he's the consummate leader of that team. So I'm bullish on his ability to play college basketball. And, the coaches all the time talk about wanting guys that do these little things. And, he's one of those guys. So I think he could have a successful career with the D3 program. Additionally, I had Ryan Cohen with Glenbrook North. He's the 6'3", kind of off guard with an absolute clip from deep, along with excellent intangibles. That should make him much more highly regarded in the state than he already is. Should be a no-brainer D3 pickup to have somebody with those intangibles and 3-point shooting. And he also picks up defensively. It just doesn't look like a high major kid as an athlete. And doesn't do enough cool things, I guess, for some coaches. But he's really steady, really solid, and he drives winning every game.
Awesome. So I'm going to move us on to the next question, which is we want to show some love to our local public schools. So we're going to share some public school kids that people should know about. The first one for me is a name that nationally is starting to create a little buzz. So I won't spend a ton of time on him, but Marcus Dockery, 6'7", wing at Jackson Reed, formerly Wilson High School in DC. Can take guys off the bounce, handles pretty well for his size. Can do some secondary playmaking, rebounds at a decent level. Pretty dynamic in transition. Split time. I think he started with Team Durant and then ended up with Team Loaded Virginia. Ended up playing really well with them this past summer. He had some big time highlights. Move on next to transfer. Shane Pendergrass left Good Counsel to join Gwynn Park, which is a local public school that's absolutely loaded with talent. You got established kind of guys and Ty Bevins, 2024 point guard, about 6'4", holds a Georgetown offer, and I think 2 or 3 more in addition to some good mid-major interest. They got a lot of point guards, so I think Shane's gonna really have an opportunity to finish well around the basket. Just have a lot of opportunities to show, some perimeter shooting that he's been working on this past summer, playing with DC Premier. His name has started to gather some buzz. I think he has a few offers already as well. Jaden Fort, that plays alongside Marcus Dockery at Jackson Reed. Just a project, just an intriguing, athletic. He's about 6'5", 6'6", kind of bouncy, a good frame. You can kind of just see, he's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some decent mobility for his size, can shoot it a little bit, finishes pretty well, rebounds pretty well, will collect a lot of blocks. I think he's, a name to keep an eye on for sure. And then there's 2 brothers that play for Friendship Tech, Daniel and David Bumpus, about 6'2", 6'3", kind of wings that play for DC Premier, and an intriguing blend of, athleticism, some shooting. Really, really like what they both bring to the table. So let's move on next to Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back into North Arts High School for their lead guard, Elijah Nix. Lists himself as 6 foot, so he's probably I would say he's probably like 5'11". Really nice handle. Just controls the offense, can finish in a variety of ways around the rim. Just plays with grit, gets his teammates involved, can thread pass in the half court. Just a gamer. Next one is Peyton Seals. He's 24. For Roundtable, helped them get to win their sectional championship. Got to the group final last year. 6'3", off-ball guard, can run the offense at times, isn't asked to do it. He's really stroking from beyond the arc, but can also get to the basket and finish. And then another very young player, 2026, Aiden Durkak, 6'3", 6'4", really elevates for dunks. Super nice looking stroke. Needs to get a little more consistency on it. Plays with confidence with the ball in his hands. His brother plays at Merrimack. He just picked up a Merrimack offer a couple weeks ago. But definitely one in the 2026 class to watch out for in the public school ranks.
Aneesh, this one's kind of a cheat code for you. The public schools are a little different in Texas, but I'll kick it to you for this next part.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, there isn't too much of a prep school scene up here in Texas. So I just went off and and listed more names of guys that I'm pretty high on in the area. The first one is Caden Edwards with Duncanville High School as a 2025 guard. Every time I've seen him, except once, but I've seen him a lot this summer, but just about every time I've seen him, he has shot the lights off the ball, and in a variety of ways. Most of a good amount of it is off the catch in off-ball scenarios, but definitely has pull-up equity as a shooter, and then even flash some movement stuff at a fairly basic level. But for a 2025, enough where it's intriguing, and you could definitely project it and not be that wouldn't be outlandish. And then really competes defensively for a 6'2" guard who's pretty skinny. He has pretty good functional strength. Like I said, 2025, so it's probably still hasn't hit the weight room a crazy amount compared to obviously guys older than him, and really competes and has really good instincts on and off ball, and as a defender, and is growing as a creator. Duncanville's going to lose a lot of guys after this year, and you can kind of see that he's kind of being groomed to take that mantle once everyone graduates. The next guy is Qual Atac. He plays for Haltom High School. He is a 6'8" forward, super skinny, has a lot to work with, has a lot of work to do physically, but genuinely has one of the best jumpers in high school. Super high release point that's very hard to contest. Played with 3D Hoops this past spring, summer, and saw him early in November with at Buff's event, scrimmage, and he seems to have gotten even more versatile in terms of the shot selection and the shot variety that he takes. Was able to work out of the high post a little bit, shooting with even more even more audacious movement threes, and took a shot profile that was already one of the wildest in the area, and diversified it even more, and is shooting at the same level of accuracy. So someone that is easily a high major kid. I think he just started to creep in rankings, in national rankings, but he should be on every national list pretty soon here. And the last one that I have is Cam Jackson. He plays for Pflugerville Weiss, and he also plays with Pro Skills. He's a 6'8", 6'9" big. The first thing you notice when you see him is the little Nacho Libre mustache he has. Has a little bit of baby fat, but is generally one of the best interior bigs in terms of finishing. Has really good touch in the post. Uses a bevy of fakes and uses his strength to his advantage down there. And then on defense, he's a rebound, or on both ends of the floor, honestly, he's a rebounding machine. And then defensively, like I said, has a little bit of baby fat. Not the most athletic kid, but has really good timing and positioning, and so is able to not only hold his own, but be a positive defender despite those athletic limitations.
Give me all of the Cam Jackson stock. This podcast is definitely a Stanley account for that, man. We'll move on to Miles Masercola, his list for this section. So 2024 Ryan Crotty from Holly Springs, 2025 Chad Traylor from West Charlotte, and 2024 Jaden Juke Harris from Salisbury. I'm going to kick it over to CG.
Yeah, I've got 6'6", 2024 Nassim Wright out of Math, Physics, and Science. A year ago, for the most part, he's a spot-up shooter, rebounder, defender. But over the summer, his coaches had him bringing up the ball as a point guard to develop his handle, and now he's ultimate kind of a dribble, pass, shoot, wing. Event. He's also the tallest player on that Math, Civics, and Science team in the pub. So he's blocking shots, getting deflections, steals, major events created on the defensive end, and looking forward to seeing him blow up this year too. And then I have love for the undersized point guards, 5'9" Josiah Hudson from Cheltenham. Like I said, 5'9", but dog on the defensive end, a heater, basically. Not afraid to really get his defender on his heels and take him to the cup or pull up for three. As a freshman, he helped lead that Cheltenham squad to a Suburban 1 League championship.
Got you. Appreciate that. Alex, close this one out for us.
Yeah, so the Chicago scene is kind of similar to Texas in terms of it's mostly public schools. In Chicago, they have the Chicago Public League or the CPL, and that's kind of where most of the prospects are, most of the power, etc. And then the suburbs are mostly public schools as well. So I'm just going to highlight a couple other guys at public schools that I thought were a little underrated or have a chance to break out. One of them is Jason Jackstes with Yorkville High School. He's kind of a completely under the radar kid, just 6'9" big with a really interesting modern skill set. Can shoot a little bit, protect the rim, and has really interesting movement skills. Not a great like vertical athlete, but mobile enough to be really intriguing. Right now, most local mid-major colleges kind of are on him and are trying to get into him before he has a chance to blow up, maybe. But he's super intriguing and definitely a name to know in the public scene, regardless of area. And then also wanted to highlight Cornell commit Jake Fegan. I thought he was one of the more underrated players in the country. He's a senior out of New Trier. He's about 6'3", but is an absolute sniper, one of the best shooters I evaluated last year. Is tough as nails defensively, willing to make the hustle play, plays with excellent poise, and can really, really just add a lot of value with his approach. He's really consistent. He never backs down. He just is a really steady, high motor kid, which I really admire. So I think that's a huge steal for Cornell, and he has a chance to be a really special player in the Ivy League.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. So now we'll kind of talk about our favorite public school teams. I'm going to kick it to Joe real quick because I got to look something up. Go ahead, Joe.
You got to start obviously against New Jersey. You got to go with Camden. The Kentucky bound duo, DJ Wagner, Aaron Bradshaw. St. Louis bound Sion Medley, Cornelius Robbins going to Albany. Monsieur Haskins, 6'7", 6'8", wing, lefty sniper for them, and getting Billy Richmond, 6'6", plays point, probably play a little more off the ball. At Camden, definitely one to watch. Then Manasquan, Darius Adams can play, but they also have some other guys to watch out for. Ryan Frauenheim, Griffin Linstra. They got bigs who can stretch the floor, and Logan Peters and Alex Conop, and Elizabeth. Have some good players. Got Augustine McGee, London Carson will be headlining them, but just the way they play is fun to watch, and I like their coach. So I think Elizabeth are one of my favorite public school teams to watch.
Awesome. We'll go next to Aneesh.
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to pick one. I'm not going to pick one. I'm sorry, Aaron, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of them a couple of the teams that should be looking to contend for a state championship. Texas is 6 classes, 1A through 6A, 6A being the biggest schools. And then so in 6A, the leaders of the pack, Lake Highlands, with Trey Johnson, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them later. Brennan talked about them. They have Kingston Flemings. We'll also talk about them later. Duncanville have Ron Holland, KJ Lewis, who's going to Arizona. Have Caden Edwards, who I mentioned earlier, as well as a bunch of other talent. 5A, probably the one of the most well-known teams is Belmont United. They have Wesley Yates, who's committed to Washington. Have a couple of good 2024 players in Clarence Paya and Cade Dotson. They won the championship last year to go back-to-back, losing Terrence Arsenault, but they should be at the top of the contenders for 5A. And then in 4A, you have Faith Family. I mentioned Jaden Toppin. They have Dorian Onwuchekwa, Peyton Gusters, a couple of really good guards, or a few really good guards. Them along with Silsby, Dallas Carter, a couple other schools that, my apologies, are just not coming into my head. But Dallas has a ton of good public schools that I'm really excited to watch this year.
Fantastic. Let's go to I'll list off Miles schools for this one. Holly Springs, Central Cabarrus, and Millbrook. Let's go to CG next.
Yeah, so first, just two real quick. Radnor, they're out in the county. They have a crop of seniors who've been together since middle school, and we've got a chance to, make a state title run in, I think, 4A for PIAA. And then Math, Civics, and Science, again, another public school that they just kind of grind. Same program that took a Wooga Poplar as a sophomore who never played basketball, and now he's at Miami. And Nassim Wright is kind of late bloomer who's probably up next out of there under Coach Lonnie Diggs.
Appreciate that, Alex.
Yeah, so one of the teams I really enjoyed watching so far is Joliet West. Obviously, the combination of the Fierce Bros is really fun to watch, and seeing them in a practice setting going at each other is about exactly as you'd expect. But they also have talent to surround both of those guys. They have UNCW commit Matt Moore, who's like a 6'8", 6'7" big that can stretch it and has really good length and can really finish above the rim and block some shots. And then they also have an interesting junior in Justice McNair. But the whole team has a lot of cohesion. They're competitive as hell and really want the smoke with the city teams. And with that suburbs versus CPL mentality pretty high, it's going to be a really fun group to watch battle. And I think they're really well coached too by Coach Jeremy Krieger. Just about the right things and keeps it all in perspective for the guys and keeps people humble. So they've so far been my favorite public school in Chicago, in the Chicago area.
Appreciate that. So I was kind of waffling on my answer for this one, but I think I'll kind of touch on another team that I already spoke about earlier. Gwynn Park already had Tony Pope the third, who's a 5'11" point guard, plays for DC Premier, as well as Aaron Jackson, transferred in from Wise, another 6-foot point guard. And then they also got another point guard to transfer in Makai Chester. In addition, Makai is about 5'10", 5'11", with some low to mid-major interest right now, transferred in from Bishop O'Connell, in addition to Ty Bevins, who I mentioned before, and then also Shane. So think they have a really deep team. Think that, hopefully with 4 point guards on the roster, hopefully the ball is really moving out there. Excited to see what kind of offense they bring to the area this season. So next we'll move on to a marquee team that we're most looking forward to watching and why. And I'm going to start off, from my area, it really is a no-brainer. Paul VI is absolutely stacked with Division I talent. Arguably 10 to 11 deep with Division I talent. When you got Ben Hammond, you got Christian Gerdak, you got Isaiah, you got Jaquan Womack, you got Big Pat Nagangba, you got Darren Harris that just committed to Duke, and didn't even mention Deshaun Harris Smith, who's their leading scorer, returning for his senior season this year before heading to Maryland. Then you also have Garrett Sundra, just picked up a bunch of Big Ten offers this offseason. I think I already mentioned Ben Hammond. And then they're also bringing in Jordan Smith Jr., already named to Team USA. Got the invite a couple months ago, performed pretty well out there. So they're just stacked, man. I mean, it's I think it was 2015 Kentucky when we saw the platoon system. At least it might have been a marketing strategy on Calipari's part, but man, they're deep, and it'll be interesting to see what the rotations look like. Who's most effective playing with who. He legitimately can just sub all 5 and still have high major guys just all over the floor. Really like how he doesn't Coach Frill really doesn't run a particular system every year. He kind of flows into high ball screens through concepts. He'll do a double stagger screen at the top. He'll do a step up screen on the side. He kind of adds in a wrinkle every year to take advantage of all the creators that he has at his disposal, and really uses all the guys to the best of their ability. So really looking forward to seeing them. Bunch of big games on the docket for this season. PVI always travels really well. Already played games. I think they're going to play games in London this year. Play Christ the King. played. They're going to play MSJ, Patrick School, Canterbury, Archbishop Stepanak. That's on top of a WCAC schedule, and that's on top of playing a really big game that I'm looking forward to on February 19th against Sidwell Friends. In addition to, I'm sure, playing hoop ball and some other national tournaments. So their schedule is always daunting. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how that team works together. Let's kick it to Joe for this one.
I think for Jersey, I feel like you got to go with Roselle Catholic. When you the return state player here in North Carolina bound, Simeon Wilcher, and then when you add Mackenzie and Baco going to Duke, along with the team that returns the Watson brothers, Akil Watson going to Arizona State, Tariq Watson, who is D1 offers, as well, adding Sebastian Robinson in, who's another all-state performer. They've good freshman. I think that'll probably end in D1 in Jalen Green, Jalen Maldonado, along with Mackenzie's younger brother Ethan. And coach very well, Coach Dave Boff really gets them all to buy in, which I think is his best attribute, is getting everyone to play together, the team they defend well, they can push the pace. And the play schedule start the season. They're going to, I think, like the Bahamas or something like that. I think they're playing Duncanville in an event down there. And you should probably know more about the event that they're playing against. But Roselle Catholic is always fun to watch, and really should make noise this year.
Aneesh, you got something for this one?
Yeah, it's got to be Duncanville, partly due to the national schedule that they play. They just wrapped up against McEachern High School from Atlanta, Georgia. I think it was a 9-point win. I didn't see the score too carefully. We're trying to focus on this podcast, of course. But have a ton of talent, and like I've just mentioned, play a extremely loaded schedule. It starts with Ron Holland, 2023 wing that's committed to Texas. Top 10 at minimum player in this country. And then KJ Lewis committed to Arizona, just an absolute defensive menace, and can really pressure the rim as well. Cam Barnes is someone who's been injured a lot of his high school career, and so hasn't been able to get a lot of playing reps, but the skill set as a 6'10", 6'11" forward who could space the floor as well as protect the rim and catch lobs is obviously something that a lot of schools should and will be interested in. Have a couple of I mentioned Caden Edwards, and then have a couple of underrated guards as well. Eric Demings is a 2023 unsigned senior, is a really good off-ball scorer, and then can play off the ball and can play making a secondary role as well. And then Evan Phelps is a super quick and shifty guard who should be able to pressure the rim, create opportunities in transition, and then disrupt at the point of attack. They have a couple other players as well, but that's their starting lineup. And with the amount of national teams that they're playing, it'll be fun to watch them for sure.
Fantastic response from Miles Masercola for this question. Word of God is playing an overtime elite. Freddie DeLeon is the best guard in America, and will prove it every night on the biggest stage in amateur basketball. I'm not sure that I'm with him on the best guard in America point, although we do love some Freddie out here. But yeah, he's super talented scoring guard that I watched play for the first time at the John Wall Classic this past season, and man, did he blow up there. Caught, I think, 11 or so offers within the next week as soon as that tournament was done. So we'll kick it to CG next.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just have to go with Imhotep Charter in Philadelphia. Justin Edwards, right? Consensus top 5, maybe top 3 player in the country. Beyond that, they don't have any high major seniors. Ahmad Noel is a 2024 projected as a high major guard. Ramir Barno, 2023 point guard, signed with Florida Gulf Coast. Justin is their tallest player. They've got a 6'7" big man who stretch big, and they've got another 6'6" forward who plays in post, but besides that, they just got dogs. You know what I mean? Play in a national schedule. They'll be at Cedar Palms. They take on San Francis from Baltimore. They play Simeon from Chicago. They play Roselle. They play Camden this year. They finally got that one lined up. Yeah, and you know, whenever you play them, the recruiting rankings go out the window because it's a public school in a neighborhood that's not that well off. But you know, the school isn't that old. But dogs, you know, that's kind of the gist of it. You know.
They get after it up there, man, for sure. Let's go to Alex on this next one.
Yeah, so there are a couple marquee teams in the Chicago area. I think right now Kenwood and Rita are probably the top two. Kenwood just could be really interesting because they have, I mean, they start 5 D1 players that could be mid to high major guys, while also having complementary players like Solo Mosley, Isaiah Green, and Tyler Smith off the bench, or not off the bench in Mosley's case, but um, the national schedule is a little better for St. Rita as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to watching them more, even though I'm not as big of a fan of the lineup. But they're obviously loaded with talent with, James Brown, who's going to be high major plus, Morez Johnson committed to Illinois, Noya Sendrusadis, who was really, really good with the Lithuanian national team, but kind of was cold a little bit this summer, could kind of put it all together. And if he does, I mean, he could be a really, really good player. And then Melvin Bell is also getting like high major interest. So kind of seeing these teams try to put this talent together and make something work schematically is going to be interesting because it didn't work that well last year. But looking forward to see them try this year.
Fantastic. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next question here, which is underrated, at least at the national level, a team that you think will surprise a lot of people this year. I'm going to start with one that's a little bit further up in Gonzaga College High School, as much as my DeMatha roots hate showing this much love to Gonzaga. The backcourt of Ryan Sable and Nick Lewis. Ryan's a really good, high academic shooting prospect that plays really well off the ball, understands spacing, cuts really well within their offense, and just can light it up, get really hot from three. Derek Dixon, who I mentioned before, can also really shoot it and put it on the ground. Jack Caden's a really good role player for them. And then Thomas Batiz, committed to Harvard, does all the small stuff, can take guys off the bounce, plays really good defense. D.D. Holmes, who's from what I hear, a 4-star football recruit, 6'6", 235. He's just a load to handle down there. And then another kid to keep an eye on, Alex Tuomu, 6'6" sophomore, kind of small forward wing, that I think is really intriguing. Can kind of put it on the floor a little bit. And I think his skill set's only going to continue to grow. And then my other answer for this question is St. Anne's Belfield,
Boy meets girl.
which includes two of my favorite players in the area in Virginia, Chance Mallory, junior point guard. He's smaller, but he's competitive as hell. His teams always win. Plays for Team Thrill during the summer. Just gets to the basket, gets to the paint, makes the right read. Got John St. Germain, as well as Carter Lang, big fella in there. And then really underrated national name that I love, Austin Williford, that plays for Team Takeover, 6'4" sophomore wing that just does a little bit of everything. He can shoot it, he can rebound it, defends at a really high level, long arms, athlete, and he gets an insane amount of rebounds for a kid that's 6'3", as well as Desmond Roberts is definitely another name to know there. So definitely look forward to watching them play this season. I think they'll surprise a lot of people. Let's move on to Joe for this question.
In Don Bosco Prep, both had two really good junior guards, obviously Todd Pettiford and Dylan Harper. With Pettiford's injury, I went with Don Bosco. isn't the most talented, it seems like. Third games. Harper's just a game he takes the win. Isaiah for Brawl, not the biggest guards. Maybe not going to get to go to the high. They just know how to win games. And then they got back more of a perimeter guy. Hits shots on the perimeter, can finish down low. Then a big guy that they just picked up, 6'11", 7-foot freshman, Kana Espria, had a really and gotta go with that Don Bosco prep.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Aneesh?
Yeah, the team that I have is Lake Highlands High School. For those who are aware of them, the first thing that comes to mind is Trey Johnson, the 2024 guard, who is, I want to say, ranked by everyone but one person but one national site as the #1 player in the country, but definitely a consensus top 3 kid. And he's obviously extremely talented. But I think what makes them underrated is the surrounding cast around him. He has a couple guards, Quentin Perkins in 2023 and then Jalen Washington in 2024, that are both extremely good. At minimum, for sure, D1 kids, probably, I would say probably mid-major plus kids, but extremely good guards that Lake Highlands has a few national games, and people who tune into those games should be very impressed with those two guys. And then Samson Allerton is a 6'9", 6'10" big who's committed to Yale. A lot of raw tools, but you see the talent as well, and he helps anchor that defense. And I think in addition to the draw that is Trey Johnson, they'll be impressed with the quote-unquote supporting cast with Lake Highlands.
Awesome. Thanks, Anish. For Miles Masercola. The Word of God love continues. That is his underrated nationally team that will surprise some people this season. CJ, what you got for this one?
So 2, real quick. We're going to start with West Town. Of course, they lost Derek Lively to Duke, and then Jameel Brown to Penn State, as well as their senior guard, who's at St. Joe's now. Besides that, they returned 2 rotation players from last year and a bunch of newcomers, young guys. Matt Gilhool is probably nationally the most recognized name, 6'10" forward / center. Like I said, got offers from ACC and Big Ten schools. Then Malik Rasul, 6'8" combo forward, transferred from Sierra Canyon. Cam Wallace, 2025 kid, shooting guard. Jaden Forsyth, 2026, who I mentioned already. They also have Jamari Memphis, who was a freshman at West Town last year, kind of spot duty kid. But you have 2 seniors in Matt Mayock, flamethrower, about 6'7" forward, going to American, and then Safon Triplett headed to Stonehill College in the NEC, 6'1", freak athlete, on-ball defender. And then I wasn't going to mention them because I'm always writing about their kids, but West Catholic, as we were recording, I saw that they signed up to play Camden on December 23rd. West Catholic, led by Zion Stanford, 6'5", small forward / small ball 4, headed to Temple. Bud Clark, who already shouted out. Got an underrated kid, Shamar Wilbanks-Saki, aka WAP. Kid is a super combo guard. Some other under the radar kids who will pop long term, including 2025 wing Isaac Cole, aka Ice, 6'6" wing, can really shoot it, of course, and growing off the bounce and decision maker. Be it again, they play anybody, and Aaron knows they played Spalding last year with Cam Whitmore, and yeah, again, they just announced not even 30 minutes ago, hour ago, that they'll be playing Camden on December 23rd, and it's not going to be a cakewalk for Camden. I'll say that much.
Man, Coach Boca definitely always wants the smoke. Definitely
always.
Definitely looking forward to playing against scrimmaging against his team rather the day after Thanksgiving. Hopefully my guys go light on the turkey this year before we play them. So let's go to Alex. What you got for this one?
Yeah, so a lot of the Chicago teams don't play much of a national schedule, and that they kind of try to keep things pretty internal here. I think the only team that so far kind of has some national stuff set is St. Rita, just because of the marquee players they have, which kind of makes them the only pick. But if I had to choose a team that I feel could really compete nationally and surprise some people, I think it would be Joliet West. I just think the amount of competitive fire that that team has, and the maturity, the experience, and just the combination of hyper aggressive defense and guards that can really create. I think they could. I think there are a lot of national programs that would not want to play them, but they're actively hunting some national matchups, and I hope they find them because they're a really fun, competitive team. And they'll have a lot of interesting tests over the next month, including playing St. Rita and Kenwood. And I feel they have a chance to come out on top. So hopefully they get a chance to play some more national stuff, and we'll see how that shakes out. But they're still in the hunt for that.
Coach Boca definitely probably wants to play them. Wouldn't be surprised. All right, so let's move on to our last question. Your favorite coach to watch in the area, whether that's X's and O's, development, motivator, what they, schemes, what they run. My two answers for this question are obviously cannot list my coach because I've had enough bias. Coach Pratt, we love you. I'm removing you from consideration for this one. So Eric Singletary, that coaches at Civil Friends Academy, just the way that he's able to blend his talent together, the way he's able to get some under the radar kids that some of the WCAC schools and BCL schools kind of overlook, and still gets them in despite the academic standards. So not only do they have to fit the culture of what he runs that said, well, play defense, move the ball, unselfish, all that, but they also need to have ridiculously good grades. So Jalen Rugier Rowan is one of my favorite players in the area, sophomore guard that plays with Team Durant, had a really good summer, got an offer from Villanova, just came back from a visit there a couple weeks ago. Caleb Williams, one of my favorite players in the area, 6'7" wing, can really do it all, can handle, can score, can rebound, can shoot it from the perimeter, turned really from, kind of more of a shooter to like a do-it-all type of player. And then Cam Gillis, their senior point guard leader, going to Lehigh this next year. Just doesn't make mistakes, takes care of the ball, sets the table, and attacks guys defensively. And then for my other response to this, I wanted to pick a public school guy. So Brendan O'Connell from Eleanor Roosevelt High School. There's no mistake. There's definitely a reason why they've won 3 of the last 4. I believe it's 4A championships, which is, I believe, the biggest public school classification in Prince George's County in Maryland. Plays a really exciting brand of basketball. Gets up and down, but he pressures the hell out of the ball. Defensively, they really share it. They get up a ton of threes. They always have a schedule filled with some of the best schools in the area, including private schools. They played. I had a series with DeMatha going back the last 3 or 4 years, and always playing pretty tough. Really love on his team Gio Sanford, who's a sophomore kind of wing, 6'4", 6'5". His father coached Division I basketball for a while, Bruce Schingler. So he just has a really solid game. The footwork is really good. Told that when he came up from South Carolina, he was actually a big in South Carolina, and he's just been adding some guard skills. So he rebounds the ball really well and can score on the block a little bit. And I mean, he can guard at the high school level pretty comfortably 2 through 4, and some smaller 5s I think he can guard. And really good athlete, good finisher in the paint, rebounds it pretty well. I think he just kind of needs to prove that he can shoot, especially from behind the 3-point line, to bring his well-rounded game to full circle. So kick it to Joe for this next response.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Phil Clicchio from Elizabeth. They've been last couple of years, obviously, pandemic year was no state tournament in New Jersey, but they were able to win their section on the road both times because of the stupid PowerPoint system that New Jersey has. But no matter who they are, who they play, they don't back down. They never get blown out. Always play Roseville Catholic tough. Patrick School, they play tough. Anybody, and they'll play anybody. They don't really care. And he always gets them motivated, gets them in the right spots. They play tough, gritty North Jersey basketball. They push the pace. And he gets as much as he can out of those out of his kids. They're not loaded with D1 talent. I mean, he's had D1 guys, obviously, Jaden Pierre helped win a state championship. He had Sebastian Robinson. And even with guys that are maybe junior college, D2, D3 guys, maybe even some don't even play college basketball, he's able to have his teams in games against Roseville Catholic with their D1 guys, the Patrick School. So his ability to just get his team motivated every single game and have them compete and be one of the best definitely has my pick for the best.
Appreciate that. Let's go to Miles Mastercola's pick for this one is Rob Salter for the Greenfield School. Let's go to CG on this one. I think I know where he's going.
Actually, no, I'm going to Brother Andre Noble. Brother Andre Noble, not necessarily just for the X's and O's. I think the way his teams are prepared, you know what I mean? He almost doesn't have to do too much. And I honestly love and respect the way he builds up his assistant coaches. Tahar Sutton, who was also the Team Final 17U coach this summer, is now at Quinnipiac. He's got guys on the bench like Kevin. I feel bad I'm blanking on his coach, Kev. One of the Philly Pride coaches, Coach Stan Williams, and another good coach on the staff. And yeah, he builds his guys up and lets them actually coach their kids during games. And like I said, as a program builder, as an architect for that program, you know, and that's really that school too, because he's an administrator there. You gotta respect him. Gotta love and respect what he's done.
100%. Alex, take this home on this one.
Yeah, so last year, Jason Apoka with the state championship Glenbard West group was easily one of my favorite in the area. They had, you know, a starting lineup of 5 Division I players and an incredible amount of role buy-in across the board. Players knew the schemes backwards, and they just had an excellent bench culture with really good kids, just on and off the court. And they stuck together because they wanted to play together, and they had prep schools all over them, and they just kind of came together and played for the state championship, played some national competition, had Sierra Canyon come in to Chicago to play, which was probably one of the best high school games that Chicago's had in quite a while. Obviously taking them to the buzzer. But they played a 1-3-1 that was really interesting to watch. Typically, I'm not a big zone guy, but they would like stick the smallest kid in the back of the 1-3-1 and just have him sprint the baseline the entire time. And it was really fun to watch a 5'7" kid close out on Amari Bailey and shut him down. So he just found creative ways to use his talent, and honestly, just was a really interesting guy to talk to that did stuff the right way at the time. So he's probably my favorite as of now, but I've also been really impressed with Jeremy Krieger at Joliet West. He's doing some great things over there as well.
Appreciate that. Sorry, I skipped over Aneesh. Aneesh, what you got for this one?
All good. I'm going to keep it short, but I really enjoy what Cody Calgill is doing at San Antonio Brennan. I talked about Kansas Flemings a little bit, but he has a backcourt mate, Camden Calgill, at 2025. And then their 3 and 4 is Don and Chris and Isaiah Ward, both 2026s. So the core of their team are underclassmen, and I think they're going to be, in my opinion, one of the better teams in the state. And I think it takes a really good coach, to to keep the pressure off of young guys and not have them play like younger guys, even though that a lot of it is probably their talent, but it does take a lot of skill from the coach. And I think that's they never looked phased. Especially I saw their game against Duncanville is the main takeaway I'm using for this, just because that's widely considered the best team in the state, and the poise they showed, I think that has a lot to do with the coach in addition to the players.
Fantastic. All right, really appreciate the time, gentlemen. Let's just go around real quick and mention, where people can find your work and where they can find you on Twitter. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe Murphy, Prep Hoops New Jersey. My Twitter's at the JE_Murphy.
CG.
Yeah, C Graham_sports on Twitter and IG. Doing most of my writing at Prep Hoops and City of Basketball Love. Also ramping up a little bit of what I do over at Cerebro. Excuse me.
Cool. Aneesh.
Yeah, Twitter is at Aneesh Namburi, ANEESH NAMBURI. On a little bit of a break with Cerebro and Pro Insight as I finish up school and do some private stuff. But once the spring hits, you'll find me with them for sure. And then first of all, Aaron, thank you for having us on. And then all the players that I said, Cerebro Sports has stats to back it up. And so if you're curious, please take a look on the site. It's free to sign up.
100%. We love our guys at Cerebro. Alex.
Yeah, we love Cerebro. You can find my stuff at perspectiveinsight.com and on Twitter, Alex B Hoops. Should have some stuff publicly soon, but have some other stuff kind of in the works. So, we'll see. But definitely thanks for having us on, and always good to talk hoops and, go hour and a half plus, just naming guys. It's always a good time. So thanks for having us, man.
100%, brother. And to our audience, as always, at Hoop Threads Pod on Twitter and Instagram. We're doing a bit of rebranding. I've got yelled at enough by my mentors to kind of brush up on some of that stuff. So working on that. Also have content coming at you from at PR0IA is my personal Twitter account, as well as OWE_hoops for my scouting service. Really appreciate the time, gentlemen. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you.